Okay, let's unpack this. We often find ourselves caught, in the relentless current of daily demands, just focusing on immediate tasks, quarterly targets, or maybe the next big project. We talk a lot about success, about making an impact, right? About building something meaningful. But in all that rush, how often do we truly step back and think about building something that actually lasts? Something that transcends our own lifespan, something we can genuinely call a legacy. The traditional view, well, it often points to the grand accomplishments, at the end of a career or life, monuments, the institutions left behind. But what if that perspective, while maybe comforting, is missing something crucial, a key element? What if the true seed of legacy isn't planted at the finish line, when the race is supposedly over, but right now, in the quiet, often uncelebrated decisions we're making today? So today we're embarking on a really fascinating deep dive. We're looking at some profoundly insightful source material. It's excerpts from The Seed of Legacy, Global Leadership Insights 2030, miniseries Inner Leadership based on the study companion. Specifically, Episode 1, The Seed of Legacy by Lóng Tíng. It's a production of Lóng Tíng Enterprises. And our mission for this deep dive really is to extract these powerful, maybe even surprising insights about how leadership truly begins, not just in external action, but within. We'll explore how legacy is actually formed not as some kind of posthumous award, but as a living orientation, a compass almost. And maybe most importantly, we'll try to uncover what foundational questions we should be asking ourselves now to consciously shape our future. We're going to dive into what inner leadership truly means through the specific lens, moving beyond the superficial structures and the immediate timelines to something, well, far more profound, more enduring.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here, what immediately sets this material apart, I think, is how it doesn't just jump straight into definitions or like a strategic framework for leadership. It starts with this almost poetic, deeply philosophical observation. It sets a very unique tone, doesn't it? Invites a different kind of reflection. It states, there is a moment, just after the silence settles, where the air feels slightly heavier, not oppressive, more like a presence asking to be acknowledged.
Mm.
I mean, that's not your typical leadership textbook opening, is it?
Not at all. It makes you pause right away.
Exactly. It's an invitation to a deeper form of awareness. And this, as the series suggests, is precisely where the core idea of inner leadership really starts to reveal itself. The source posits, perhaps this is where leadership truly begins, in noticing that presence before rushing to fill it.
Mm.
Just think about the profound implications of that, especially in our always-on, often sort of frenetic world.
We're always filling the silence.
We're conditioned, almost instinctively, right? To fill voids, provide immediate answers, leap into action. Silence often feels, well, uncomfortable, something to be broken or, optimized away. But this passage suggests that true, deep, impactful leadership might actually start in that quiet, often counterintuitive act of observation, of acknowledging a subtle presence or maybe a hidden truth before we even think about making a move.
So what does it mean then to notice that presence?
Well, I think it means stepping back from the immediate noise, doesn't it? From the urgency, from all the preconceived notions we carry. It's about allowing a deeper reality, maybe an emerging challenge, or an unspoken concern within the team, or even a silent opportunity, allowing that to reveal itself fully without jumping on it immediately. It's a call for profound internal attunement, a deep listening, you could say.
Yeah.
An intuitive grasp, perhaps, before the strategic mind kicks in with all its plans and solutions. This quiet observation, this noticing, it's like the seedbed for authentic insight. It allows leaders to respond not just to what's visible on the surface, but to what's truly emerging from underneath.
That idea, a quiet, almost contemplative start to leadership, it really is quite a departure from the usual, high-octane, always-on mentality we often associate with successful leaders. It feels like a kind of preamble to something truly significant. A deliberate act of listening before speaking, sensing before acting. And speaking of significant, the text then immediately drops us into something it calls a koan. Now, this isn't a question meant to be solved with linear logic. It's meant to resonate, right? To echo within you, challenging your whole framework of understanding. And the koan is this. What if your quarterly results were whispered by your great-grandchildren? And the instruction from the source is very clear. Don't try to solve the question, let it echo. That instruction itself is incredibly powerful, I think, because it forces you out of that purely analytical short-term box. This isn't about some, fantastical multi-generational financial forecast. It's about a fundamental shift, almost spiritual, you could say, a shift in perspective. Just imagine for a moment, really let this thought settle in.
Yeah.
You're sitting with your great-grandchildren decades from now. Maybe in a world transformed by the very decisions you're making today, and they are recounting the results of your life, your work, your decisions, what would they actually say?
Mm-hmm.
Would they talk about your Q2 profits back in 2024? Or would they speak about, I don't know, the enduring values you upheld, the ethical systems you helped build, maybe, the integrity you embodied, the sustainable impact you had on their world, the problems you genuinely solved, or perhaps even the ones you might have created?
It's a sobering thought.
It is. This thought experiment immediately forces you to look beyond immediate gratification, doesn't it? Beyond those short-term metrics that so often dominate our focus in business and even in our personal lives. It challenges you to consider the enduring ripple effects of your actions today on a future you won't even personally inhabit. A future shaped, in part, by your present choices. It fundamentally redefines what results actually mean, making them about lasting value, profound impact, genuine contribution, not just fleeting gains or temporary triumphs.
Yeah, it's a question designed to align your present self with your most aspirational future self, who you hope to be. That koan is really designed to shatter our preconceived notions, isn't it? We are so conditioned, particularly in these fast-paced environments, modern business, even personal achievements, to think of legacy as something that happens right at the very end. We picture, a will, maybe a monument, a published memoir, or a company that keeps going after we're gone.
Right, the final chapter.
Exactly. We tend to think legacy begins at the end in what remains after we are gone. It's often seen as something external, a historical footnote maybe, a final tally accomplishments. And that perspective, well, it often relegates legacy to a distant concern, something to think about much later in life once all the real work is done. But the source material just completely flips this conventional wisdom on its head. It presents this powerful counter-argument that really demands our immediate attention. It says, but in truth, legacy begins the moment we make a decision that outlives our convenience.
Okay. Outlives our convenience. That's a striking phrase.
It is. And it's a profound game changer, I think. What does it actually mean? For a decision to outlive convenience, well, it means making choices that might be harder in the moment. Less immediately profitable, maybe less popular, choices that require more personal sacrifice in the short term.
Things that don't offer that quick win.
Precisely. These are choices that establish a deeper foundation, maybe uphold a higher ethical principle or create more sustainable long-term value for the collective, for future generations. It's about consciously choosing the path that serves a more distant future, even when it's genuinely inconvenient, maybe even painful, for the present moment. And this really challenges those common pressures, doesn't it? Efficiency, immediate payoff, rapid scale, those short-term quarterly results that so often dominate modern leadership.
Definitely.
It asks us to consider a much broader horizon and to act not just for today's comfort, but for tomorrow's enduring truth, whatever that may be. And the source offers some really vivid examples that bring this concept, decisions that outlive our convenience, right down to earth. Makes it practical. Think about this one. Every time we choose integrity over ease, now this isn't just some moral platitude, right, or a feel-good statement.
No, it plays out constantly.
Absolutely. In boardrooms, on factory floors, in supply chain decisions, how we interact with customers. Constantly. Imagine you're a leader. You're facing a tight deadline to launch a new product, and a shortcut presents itself. Maybe using a cheaper, less ethically sourced material that compromises your environmental promises.
Or cutting corners on quality control.
Right, which might lead to customer dissatisfaction down the line. Or maybe you have a chance to secure a lucrative deal by, let's say, stretching the truth, making a promise you can't really keep, or misrepresenting your product's capabilities. The ease in those situations is the immediate relief from pressure. It's the quick win, the immediate financial gain.
The path of least resistance. Scarily. But choosing integrity means doing the harder thing. Taking the time to find that ethical supplier. Maybe absorbing a higher cost for superior quality. Delivering on your word, even when it's difficult. Or having the courage to walk away from a deal that compromises your core values. The temptations to choose ease over integrity in this fast-paced, competitive environment. They're everywhere. Market pressure, investor demands, competitive threats, even just the internal comfort of avoiding conflict or a difficult conversation. But each time you resist that immediate temptation and choose integrity, you're not just making a moral stand. You're building something far more enduring. Your reputation, the trust of your stakeholders, the very character of your organization. You're planting a seed of legacy that will yield dividends for years, long after that moment of convenience is forgotten. And then the source adds another really powerful example. Or design something that doesn't need to shine today but will nourish someone tomorrow.
The long game versus the immediate spotlight. Precisely. This is about the profound difference between those short-term visible gains and true long-term vision. Consider a pharmaceutical company that chooses to invest massive resources into foundational research for a rare disease. They know it might not yield a marketable product for a decade or more, and the financial returns, if they come at all, might be modest.
Compared to just chasing the blockbuster drugs.
Right. That foundational research doesn't shine today. It doesn't immediately boost the stock price or generate flashy headlines, but it could lead to a breakthrough that alleviates suffering for millions in the future, defining the industry for generations. Or think about investment in truly robust, sustainable infrastructure within a city. Underground systems, water purification, advanced public transport networks, things that might be incredibly expensive and disruptive to build today.
Yeah, politically difficult too.
Very. But they will provide essential services and improve the quality of life for inhabitants for the next century. These are often quiet choices, sometimes even unpopular, because they don't offer that immediate gratification or easily measurable returns in the next quarter. They are deep, often patient investments in the future. They shift the focus from immediate personal or organizational glory to creating sustainable, future-oriented value that serves a greater good. So in every one of these choices, whether it's integrity over ease or long-term nourishment over immediate shine, the source reminds us, we plant the seed of legacy.
That's an active planting.
Exactly, not immediate harvesting. And the seeds planted today, well, they determine the forest of tomorrow.
That makes so much sense. Legacy, then, isn't about the grand finale or the tombstone inscription. It's about the consistent, often quiet, deliberate choices made in the messy middle. In our lives, our careers, it's about acting with a kind of future-oriented consciousness in every moment. And this idea, this present moment, future-aligned decision-making, it's perfectly captured in an anecdote shared in the source material, a story that clearly left a deep impression on the author. Offers a powerful blueprint, really. It speaks of a conversation with a founder in Northern Europe, someone clearly operating from a very different paradigm. This founder, it says, had turned down a major investment that would have scaled his company rapidly. Now, just think about that for a second. In today's business world, where the mantra is often grow or die, right, where venture capital flows for rapid expansion, turning down a major investment that promises swift, dramatic scaling, it seems utterly counterintuitive. Almost foolish to many.
It goes against nearly every instinct ingrained in modern entrepreneurial ambition, doesn't it? Which often prioritizes speed, market share, aggressive growth above almost everything else.
Absolutely. And this wasn't a small opportunity, apparently. It was a chance for potentially massive, transformative growth for his company. So naturally, the compelling question is, why? What possible rationale, what deeper principle could lead a founder to walk away from such a seemingly golden opportunity, a chance to accelerate his vision on a grand scale?
Yeah, the intrigue there is palpable. It hints at a deeper, more profound decision-making framework at play, something that transcends just the financial calculus. And the founder's reason, when it's revealed, is truly powerful. It echoes the very essence of this inner leadership idea. He simply said, because the man I will be in 30 years wouldn't recognize himself in that decision.
Wow. Just wow.
Right. If we connect this to the bigger picture the source material is painting, this statement is incredibly revealing. It resonates so deeply. It implies this profound, almost sacred alignment with the future self, a deeply ingrained set of personal values, a long-term sense of identity that just supersedes immediate financial gain or rapid expansion.
It speaks to incredible courage.
And wisdom, I think. The courage and wisdom to prioritize internal integrity and future self-recognition over external opportunity, and that relentless pressure to grow at all costs. This founder wasn't just thinking about his company's balance sheet or its market valuation. He was thinking about his soul, his character, the person he aspired to be, and the integrity of his journey decades down the line. He understood that a decision made today, just for immediate convenience or gain, could create this dissonance with his future self. A version of him he wouldn't respect or identify with anymore. So this story just perfectly encapsulates that idea of decisions that outlive our convenience by linking them directly to an enduring personal and professional self-image.
It's not just the company's legacy.
Exactly. It's not just about the company's legacy as some external entity. It's the leader's personal legacy, how they will remember themselves, how their future self will judge their current choices. That self-recognition becomes the ultimate benchmark. And this leads directly to the core definition of legacy offered by the source, derived right from this anecdote. That is legacy. Not an endpoint, but an orientation.
An orientation, that changes everything.
It really does redefine everything we thought we knew about legacy. If legacy is an orientation, it means it's a continuous guide, a compass for daily actions, a set of principles informing every choice, rather than some final destination or a posthumous award. It means every single day, every interaction, every decision, large or small, is an opportunity to orient yourself towards a legacy you actually want to build. This reframes the entire role of a leader, doesn't it? Not just someone focused on achieving results, but someone committed to maintaining this profound sense of integrity, foresight, and alignment with their deepest values throughout their entire journey, ensuring their actions consistently reflect the future presence they wish to embody.
It becomes an active, ongoing, deeply personal commitment.
Yes, exactly that.
That redefinition from endpoint to living orientation, that is such a vital transformative shift. It means legacy is something you live into, not just something you leave behind. It's about building a future self, not just a future reputation, which is quite a thought. And this idea of constant intentional orientation, this sort of deeply personal guidance system, it leads us to another truly fascinating and, somewhat paradoxical concept in the source material. It introduces the idea of a study companion. Now, when we hear that, we might initially think of very practical, tangible things. Organizational structures, ownership models designed for multi-generational impact, maybe even detailed strategic blueprints.
Nuts and bolts.
Exactly. And the source is clear that all of that certainly matters. Those are the tangible frameworks, the necessary scaffolding, no doubt about it. But here's where it gets really interesting, where the really profound insight lies, I think. The source then states, but before the structure, there's something deeper, a memory. Not of the past, but of the future.
A memory of the future.
Yeah, a memory of the future. Just let that audacious, seemingly paradoxical idea sink in for a moment.
Yeah.
How can you possibly have a memory of something that hasn't happened yet?
It challenges our linear thinking.
Completely. Our understanding of time, of causality, of purpose, it invites us to ponder what it truly means to recall a future state, a future self, a desired future reality. It's like tapping into a vision so clear, so compelling, so intrinsically right that it feels like a remembered truth. An echo of what must be guiding you from that profound future back into your present actions.
Like the precognitive imprint of your deepest purpose.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
And it's precisely that seemingly paradoxical idea that unlocks this profound truth about inner leadership and about the origins of our deepest drives. The source interprets this memory of the future directly, bringing it right into the leadership context. Leadership means remembering who we want to be before we forget.
Before we forget.
Yeah. And this forgetting isn't just about, lapses in memory like forgetting a meeting time. It's about a much more insidious process. It's losing sight of our core purpose, our original vision, our foundational values, our deepest aspirations and intentions. In a leadership context, this forgetting can look like many things, right? It might be getting completely bogged down by the relentless demands of daily tasks, by the endless stream of emails and meetings, by the sheer volume of urgent, but ultimately maybe trivial matters.
The tyranny of the urgent.
Exactly. It's succumbing to external pressures, like relentless market fluctuations, aggressive competitors, or investor demands for short-term gains, and allowing them to dictate our actions rather than our inner compass. It's compromising core values for expediency or those fleeting gains, slowly drifting from the very essence of why we started an initiative or a company or even a personal project in the first place. We simply forget the who we intended to be, the why that originally propelled us forward. And this brings us directly to the importance of reconnecting with what the source calls the original impulse. It asks us directly, so let us ask, what was the original impulse that made someone say, yes, this needs to exist?
That initial spark.
Yes. Think about that moment of inception for any endeavor, any company, any significant project. What was that primal driving force? Was it a passionate belief in solving a particular overlooked problem, a creative spark for some unprecedented innovation, a deep desire to serve a neglected community or a specific need, a commitment to a certain standard of excellence or ethical conduct that just felt non-negotiable? This initial energy, this spontaneous yes, that's the authentic wellspring of purpose, the true north of any undertaking. It's the intrinsic motivation, not some extrinsic reward, that sparked its very existence. And then comes the crucial, almost challenging follow-up question. Is that impulse still alive, or has it fallen asleep beneath targets and timelines?
Oof. It's a tough one to ask, honestly.
It is. but it's a powerful diagnostic tool for any leader or organization. Targets and timelines are, of course, absolutely necessary for execution, accountability, measuring progress, strategic planning. We can't just float around without them.
Right, they provide structure.
They do. But too often, in our relentless, often singular pursuit of metrics and schedules, we inadvertently stifle or bury or even completely lose touch with the foundational purpose that gave birth to the whole endeavor. The mechanics of operation, the processes, the KPIs, the quarterly reviews, the bureaucracy, they can slowly and insidiously suffocate the meaning.
The why gets lost in the what and how.
Perfectly put. Projects become solely about hitting a number, achieving a deadline, checking a box, rather than fulfilling their original inspiring reason for being. That initial spark, the passion, the deep why, it gets buried under a mountain of hows and whats. But the source is really careful here to emphasize that this reflection is not about guilt. It is about returning.
That's important. It's not about beating yourself up.
No, not at all. This isn't meant to be an exercise in self-reproach, or dwelling on past mistakes, or wallowing in regret for roads not taken. It's designed as a deeply regenerative, empowering process. Actively reconnecting with that initial impulse, dusting off the original vision, and realigning with the who you truly want to be. It's about coming home to your purpose, finding your way back to that authentic inner compass. It's a reminder that purpose, unlike maybe external metrics, isn't finite. It's a renewable resource.
You can always tap back into it.
Yes. And it offers this deeply hopeful message, one that really resonates. The seed of legacy is still there. It may be buried, but it is still beating. This speaks to the incredible resilience of purpose, doesn't it? The enduring nature of our deepest aspirations. Even if we've lost our way, even if the relentless demands of the present have obscured our original impulse, that seed of legacy, that core purpose, that memory of the future, it's still alive, still beating, waiting patiently to be rediscovered, nourished, and allowed to blossom once more.
It's a promise of renewal.
Exactly, an invitation to return.
That's incredibly reassuring, isn't it? Just knowing that the core intention, that driving force, can simply be rediscovered rather than needing to be painfully reinvented from scratch. It gives us permission to pause, maybe reflect without judgment, and seek out that hidden pulse of purpose. And if this entire framework, legacy as an orientation, leadership as remembering a future self, reconnecting with that original impulse, if it's going to be truly effective, truly transformative, it has to translate into tangible action.
Absolutely. It can't just be a nice philosophical idea.
Right. So what does this all mean for our day-to-day decisions, especially the big ones, the ones that truly shape our path, our organization's direction, our personal legacy? The source makes it beautifully clear. In practice, this means asking different questions. It's about shifting the interrogation, moving away from what's just immediate and convenient and towards what's enduring, purposeful, deeply aligned with our future selves, challenging our conventional thought patterns.
Precisely. And the source proposes 3 crucial questions that act as these powerful filters for conscious decision-making. They move us beyond superficial considerations toward a truly legacy-oriented approach. And these aren't just questions to ponder idly, They're meant to be actively interrogated, applied. I'd encourage you, listening right now, to think about how each of these applies directly to your own leadership context. Whether you're leading a large organization, a small team, navigating complex projects, or even just making significant personal choices. So the first question is, does this decision still serve the original purpose or only the mechanics?
Purpose versus mechanics.
This question delves right into that insidious process of purpose erosion we talked about. It's incredibly easy for the mechanics, the processes, the metrics, the bureaucratic hoops, the operational efficiencies, that relentless pursuit of growth for growth's sake to slowly, subtly become the sole focus, eclipsing the very purpose they were meant to serve in the first place. We get so consumed with how we're doing things or how fast or how much that we lose sight of why we even started.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure. Consider a tech company that maybe began with a noble purpose, like connecting people and fostering community. But over time, it becomes so obsessed with user growth numbers and ad revenue that it starts compromising user privacy or mental well-being or maybe even democratic discourse. The original purpose gets lost in the metrics.
Okay, I see.
Or think about a school system that, in an effort to boost standardized test scores, the mechanic ends up stripping away creative arts, critical thinking exercises, holistic development, effectively forgetting its original purpose of nurturing well-rounded individuals. The danger here is what you might call organizational drift, where the means totally overshadow the end, where the vehicle becomes the destination. This question forces us to constantly check. Are we just meticulously oiling the machine, making it run faster? Or are we still driving with clear intent towards that profound destination we originally envisioned? Are we genuinely aligned with our foundational why, or have the hows just taken over completely? The second question is perhaps the most personal, and for many, I think the most profound. Would I still be proud of this decision if no one ever knew it was mine?
Ah, the anonymous pride test.
Exactly. This raises an incredibly important question about intrinsic motivation, doesn't it? Personal ethics, values that go far beyond external validation, public perception, the applause of others. It's the ultimate test of quiet integrity. Think about a moment where maybe you could take credit for someone else's brilliant idea, or when you could silently benefit from some legal loophole that feels ethically ambiguous. Or perhaps make a choice that's perfectly permissible within the rules but feels morally gray. Knowing full well no one would ever trace it back to you. No one would judge you for it. Would you still make that decision if your reputation wasn't on the line? If there was no public applause, no visible scrutiny, no benefit to your public image? This question probes the true measure of a leader's character. What choices do you make when absolutely no one is watching?
That really cuts deep.
It does. It's about being proud of a decision, not because of the praise it might garner or the recognition it brings, but because of its inherent rightness. Its alignment with your deepest, most private values. It speaks to that inner peace that comes from knowing you acted with integrity, purely for its own sake. It forces a kind of confrontation with your truest self. And finally, the third question. This one tackles systemic impact, the broader implications of our choices. Does it bring us closer to the world we want to leave behind, or deeper into the logic we hope to transform?
Okay, this sounds big picture. Systemic logic.
It is. This is a crucial question for challenging the status quo, for ensuring our actions contribute to genuine fundamental transformation rather than just superficial change. Many decisions, which might seem good or expedient in isolation, can inadvertently perpetuate existing problems or contribute to unintended negative consequences if they don't fundamentally address the underlying logic. The implicit assumptions, the systemic structures, the prevailing mindset that needs transformation.
Can you illustrate that?
Yeah, consider a company that develops a highly profitable product. It's innovative, maybe, but it inadvertently exacerbates an existing social inequality or contributes to a worsening environmental issue. The product itself might be good by market logic, but does it move us closer to the desired world?
Or maybe just deepens the existing problematic logic.
Exactly. Or think of a leader implementing a new policy that seems fair on the surface, but by its very design, it reinforces an outdated, inefficient, or even harmful organizational culture, rather than disrupting it. This question forces us to zoom out and ask, are we merely patching symptoms here, making things slightly better within a fundamentally flawed system? Or are we truly dismantling the root causes, the fundamental systems and mindsets that create the problems we claim we want to solve? How do our actions ensure we're genuinely building the desired future, rather than unconsciously reinforcing an undesirable present, just caught in its prevailing logic? These three questions, when you apply them diligently, honestly, they're designed to challenge assumptions, promote deeply conscious decision-making, and ensure a leader's choices are always aligned with their desired legacy, moving far beyond superficial considerations into, well, true, lasting impact.
Those questions they really are like a deep breath for decision-making, aren't they? They slow down that impulse to just react, to default to the path of least resistance. Instead, they invite a more deliberate, values-driven response, a pause for profound internal inquiry. And speaking of a deep breath, the source then offers this remarkably simple, yet potentially transformative practical technique that some leadership teams actually use. It speaks directly to this need for pause and reflection. It says, before approving a key initiative or investment, some leadership teams simply pause for 60 seconds and ask in silence. Just imagine that for a moment. In a world where meetings often race from one agenda item to the next, where decisions are made under immense pressure, tight timelines, competitive threats, constant demand for immediate answers, the idea of a deliberate 60-second pause for silent reflection before a major approval, it feels almost revolutionary.
It really does.
It highlights the profound power of silence in decision-making. It offers such a stark contrast to the typical fast-paced environment where quick consensus or immediate action, or maybe just the loudest voice, is often prized above thoughtful, internal contemplation. It's a moment of collective quiet, a truly radical act in many contemporary boardrooms, I'd imagine.
It truly is a powerful, almost disruptive intervention, precisely because it's so simple. During this silent pause, the leadership teams collectively, yet individually, ask one singular, potent question, a question that just cuts through all the noise. If this becomes part of our legacy, is it worthy of it?
Is it worthy? Simple, but huge.
Exactly. And the critical detail this source emphasizes is no debate, just one honest breath. Think about the profound psychological and collaborative impact of that. In those 60 seconds, without the pressure to speak, to defend a position, argue a point, or compromise, each individual on the team is forced to confront the decision through the unfiltered lens of long-term legacy and personal integrity.
There's nowhere to hide from your own conscience.
Pretty much. This quiet, shared reflection effectively bypasses those immediate arguments, personal biases, maybe groupthink, or the vested interests that often dominate discussions and subtly steer outcomes. It's not about winning a point or convincing others or demonstrating superior analytics. It's about deep internal alignment with a higher purpose, a collective vision of what truly matters for the future.
So what happens in that silence? What emerges?
Well, the source states, very simply but profoundly, often that changes everything. This pause, this collective moment of introspection, it can shift perspectives dramatically. It might reveal hidden concerns that might have been suppressed in active debate, maybe due to politeness or perceived pressure. It could foster a deeper collective wisdom, an intuitive knowing that surfaces when the logical mind takes a brief backseat. It might lead a team to realize that while an initiative looks great on paper for immediate returns, it just doesn't align with their enduring values or the true legacy they aspire to build.
Because it could lead to a completely different outcome.
Absolutely. It could result in a strategic pivot, a reevaluation of the whole proposal, or even a complete rejection of something that seemed inevitable just moments before. It's a powerful testament to how a moment of quiet, shared introspection can profoundly shift outcomes and guide choices towards a more authentic, lasting path.
Yeah.
And it reinforces that central theme of this entire deep dive, doesn't it? That legacy is not only about what survives us, but about what guides us while we are still here. It's a living compass.
And what a powerful way to bring it all together. Wow. This deep dive has really fundamentally shifted my understanding, anyway, of legacy. From that distant, posthumous endpoint to a living, breathing orientation that guides every conscious decision we make today. We've explored how inner leadership begins with that quiet observation, that profound sensing of presence before rushing into action. We've seen how remembering our future selves and reconnecting with our original impulses can pull us back to our true, enduring purpose like a magnet to our North Star. And we've learned how simply asking different, deeper questions can transform our daily actions, making them truly worthy of our aspirations. And that idea of the 60-second pause, just a powerful, practical tool for ensuring our decisions are truly worthy of the legacy we aim to build. It feels like a potential game changer for anyone in leadership. It's all about infusing conscious intent and deep integrity into every single step of the journey.
Which I think raises an important question for you, our listener. One we hope resonates beyond just this deep dive, as the source powerfully concludes, offering both a challenge and an invitation. Let your next decision, however small, be worthy of your future presence. So maybe take a moment after this to think about one specific decision you are currently facing. It could be a major professional pivot, maybe a small ethical dilemma in your daily work, or even a personal choice about how you allocate your most precious resource, your time. How might applying the lens of future presence, that man or woman you aspire to be in 30 years, or asking yourself simply, is this worthy of my legacy? How might that fundamentally alter your approach, your internal deliberation, or even the eventual outcome? What seed will you choose to plant today? Knowing its quiet yet profound ripple effects will extend far beyond your immediate view, shaping not just your path, but perhaps even the world for generations to come.
That's a profound challenge to leave with, a quiet invitation to some important inner work. And if this journey into inner leadership and the living nature of legacy has resonated deeply with you, you'll be glad to know this is just the beginning of this remarkable series we're drawing from. In the next episode of this powerful series from Lóng Tíng, it's called The Rhythm of Responsibility, we will explore how responsibility can remain alive and potent, how it can continue to guide us and be embodied, even in times of profound uncertainty, chaos, or rapid change. It promises to connect beautifully with these themes of inner guidance and lasting impact we've touched on today.
Until then, listen to the seed.